What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and today we're going to be getting into the USFL. If it's your first time here, glad to have you. If you're a return viewer, thanks for coming back and thanks for watching more videos. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing. Now, you know I give you a thumbs up at the end of every video, and I'd appreciate it if you do the same down there. You know that every like, every subscribe, and every comment really helps the channel. And today, I want to know your thoughts on the TV partnership and the USFL going after college players. All right, so without further ado, we got a few things we want to talk about. But first, I want to know, did you see the TV spot for the USFL on the Thursday night football game? It was just a short spot. Short and sweet, to the point, pretty good. Nothing too much here, but it does show you that, listen, they're putting it out here and that they're ready to go with this league. And it looks like that, I mean, when you put it out on TV and announce this whole thing, you got to do it, right? So, we just continue to see more and more information with this. And speaking of TV deals, this was something that was rumored, a little while ago, but we finally got some details on it, and we're finally seeing that NBC has decided to join up with Fox and going to be broadcasting their USFL games. And so let's get into a little bit of nitty-gritty with this. There's going to be 43 games. Obviously, there'll be 40 games in the season and then 3 playoff games, and those are going to be split up to where Fox is going to be covering 22 of those, and 21 of those is going to be with the NBC family. And it looks like right now that they're going to be showing those and breaking those down, that about 9 games are going to be on the USA Network. They're going to carry 8 games on the NBC broadcast channel and 4 games on Peacock. Now, Fox is going to be doing 12 games on their broadcasting channels and broadcast channel, and 10 games on FS1. And NBC, they've really been touting, really trying to push people towards Peacock. And so it makes sense that they're going to have 4 games on Peacock. So if you're wanting to see those, you're going to have to, get Peacock and do that. USA Network seems like a no-brainer to me. That's a really nice, perfect place for them to showcase some of that stuff. And then obviously on NBC Sports. Now, the funny thing for me is when I read this and when I heard this, I kind of chuckled and laughed, because I remember Florio going through and just bashing the XFL last year. Second-rate league and all this and that. And you just knew, because of everything and with the XFL and how the XFL was just taking off, and people were tuning in droves by the millions on TV. It was funny to see just that you could tell that he was frustrated because they didn't have anything in this. It was Disney, ESPN, ABC, and Fox that got in on the XFL action, and they weren't able to get any of it. And you could tell too, he's really misinformed, didn't know his information, hadn't really watched any games, saw a couple clips here and there of really bad plays and really, really bad things, especially that when things just fell apart for the Guardians there. So it's just really funny that you could tell that they definitely felt left out and wanted to get in on the action with this one. So it's funny. I think it's a really good thing. And, listen, people look at this and they're like, why would you do that with your competitor? Why would you? In today's day and age, we've been past that for quite a while. It's all about making money and if they can make money off of it. And it's definitely looking like Fox is making money off of this. And it looks like NBC really thinks that they can make money off of this. So again, little by little, more by more, getting more excited about the USFL and really what type of product that it's going to have with that. And speaking of product, we know what type of product that they're looking for now. It looks like that they're going to be looking for a young league of really up-and-comers with a really high ceiling. What are we looking at? Well, let's start off with that, and it's been about a week or so ago, but I did want to touch on it, and I kind of wanted to wait and really formulate some thoughts before I actually went and dived into this. So Neil Stratton of InTheLeague.com, he was on some Zoom calls with some different peoples, and one of those was Brian Woods. And I know that a lot of you out there have varying opinions of Brian Woods, but he's the president of the football operations for the USFL. And so this is what Stratton had to say. The USFL will grow to become a contender. And this is from the meeting that he had on the Zoom call with Brian Woods. The USFL will grow to become a contender for players who enter the transfer portal and others who are at least 3 years removed from high school graduation. The USFL will not be the place for 6-7 year veterans looking to cash a few last checks after cycling out of football. And really, that's just the key here. Now, he goes on to say, and I'll touch on this too, I went into the session believing the USFL would be just the Spring League 2.0, a bigger and better version of Brian's previous project. What I learned was that he has much bigger plans for the league, and while it won't compete with the NFL, obviously, it will compete with college teams, especially Power Group of Five teams, not the Power Five, but the Group of Five. Take that comment with a grain of salt. I think that the football world and landscape is changing. It has been for years, especially when they first started the college football playoff, when they first started doing, really back with the BCS. They were really trying, football's been moving in a different direction than really the college model, and the college model is trying to survive this. Let's first talk about the transfer portal players and players 3 years removed from high school. We know what that means. That means draft eligible players. That means, guys who are eligible to play in the NFL. That's what that means. But going after transfer players specifically, I think is a really nice place and a really good place for the USFL. You're going after, in many times, a lot of guys who've already graduated. They're usually grad transfers, i.e. Russell Wilson, those type of players where you get a really high quality caliber player who's, looking to really put together a really good resume to launch them off into the NFL draft. To take a guy from maybe like a 4th, 5th round, maybe 6th round guy, now move him up into the 2nd, 3rd round, or maybe even if he does really well, into a 1st rounder. And so you have, Joe Burrow's another perfect example of a guy that was at Ohio State, transfers over to LSU, has a really good 2 seasons, and now is doing what he's doing in the NFL. Looking to get those guys. Now, before I kind of dive more into that, let's lay the land of the college football, where things are at. The college football playoff especially is going to be expanding. And remember that, the NCAA doesn't own the college football playoff. That's owned by ESPN. And that players can make money off of their likeness now. And so you can see that things are progressing more and more, and there's becoming more and more options for players. If you were to tell me, and this is just my personal opinion, and this is somebody with a college degree. So take all of that into consideration. If you were to tell me right now, sitting here right now, that I had the opportunity to make a decent wage playing the sport that I love and getting the opportunity to do that, get paid to do that, and to do that, I would jump on that and I would put a little hiatus on my education. That's just where it's at for me. The reality of it is that yes, you can come out, you can make a lot of money with a college degree, especially depending upon what school you go to, what programs you go into, and things of that nature. But on average, you're going to make more money playing football than you would in, than going through and having a college degree. I can tell you from having a college degree from a reputable university and the money that I'm making, I would still the top tier guys in the USFL for the first couple seasons will definitely be making more money than I do, and I can tell you that as this thing progresses, because we do know that they've Fox has put in a 3-year commitment, and it looks like they've got a 3-year deal with NBC. So this thing's definitely a 3-year deal, to where when they get a reputation up, and two, if they could be going head to head with the XFL for players, the players are going to be making more money because of that. So you only have a short window to play football in your life, and so school can wait. If you ask me, you have the whole rest of your life to develop a career, to do a career. And, so what if you go back and get your career and start your career at 26, after you've decided, that you're kind of done, your playing years are done, and you played some years and made some money in the USFL, the XFL, something of that nature. You ask me, go back and finish up your degree. Now you're 26, 27 with a degree. I think that's totally fine, as opposed to coming out, as 21, 22 years old with the degree. I mean, that's 5 years. I mean, in the scheme of things, it's really not that much, and you're not really putting yourself behind, especially if you are making money and doing wise things with your money and being a smart adult about it. Listen, we're not talking about kids anymore. And if we're going to have somebody be an adult at 18 and, we're looking at 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, and I get it, they're still kids to many, many people. But there are a lot of smart 21 and 22-year-olds that go out there and make really great career decisions, that I'm not just talking about sports. I'm talking about a lot of different things. And so if you ask me, if right now, if you were to offer me a full-time job or get a free education, I would probably take the equivalent of a upper middle class job over the education. I could figure out a way to make the education work later, and I would rather decide what I want to do with my money as opposed to another place telling me what to do with my money. That's just it. And it looks like here with the USFL, you're going to get some decent amount of eyes on you. And we've already seen success stories. And I'm talking not just about Kenny Robinson, but I'm looking at guys like Jordan, Teamu. What happened with him? He's a guy who kind of floats around in camps as a rookie, doesn't really go anywhere on some practice squads, gets picked up, does really well. PJ Walker is another example, a guy that never really got on the field. And I think that these are the guys that they're talking about that they want to really have the league built around. It's, not these guys that are coming in here who have kind of been journeymen around football for quite some time and are just looking to hang on. And not that I don't think that there will be guys like that. I think that there will be guys who are super talented, uber talented, and that are just wanting to play again and that with it. And I think that that's totally fine. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to live in this space where it's not necessarily college football. It's not necessarily NFL, because remember, they don't want to hurt anything with the NFL, and they want to complement what they've got with the NFL. But this is not minor league is what they're trying to create. They're trying to create a valuable space in there to where it's almost like the next step between college and pros, to where, guys, they can pick up some really nice, talented guys that haven't really solidified themselves in a Power 5 conference, and that really are really good. It reminds me of guys like your crazy freak guys like your Randy Mosses. You got guys like Ben Roethlisberger. There are a lot of NFL legends, NFL Pro Bowlers that have come from the group of 5 conferences, and it looks like that they're wanting to pick up these guys before they really move on to the draft and have an opportunity to really showcase them. And see, that's the space where I really think they need to live, is meaningful football games that don't look like preseason games where guys are just out there as individuals that are trying to showcase what they can do. I mean, that was one thing that's really neat about the XFL, is they you could definitely tell that they created an environment that the players were there to play and not just for themselves, but play as a team, that you really saw, the teams come together as teams and play as teams. And it really made it exciting. And it did make it something, that you did want to tune into and a place that you wanted to be involved in. And if they can do that and create this window, and that's fine if a guy's there for 2 or 3 years and then moves on. I think that that's what they're trying to do and would like to do with this. I don't think that this is something right now that they're trying to create for a whole career. And again, I don't really think that this is like some minor league thing. I would look at it as more, along the lines of as development as opposed to, minor leagues. And who knows where they're going with this, but their money is being thrown at this, and by more than just Fox now. Fox is taking this very, very seriously. NBC is taking this very, very seriously, and I think that we need to take this very, very seriously as well. And I think that you're going to start to see, especially older college players making smart money decisions, and that's how I'm going to put it out there. Smart money decisions based upon what they want to do with their career. These guys want to play football. They can come out, play football, and do that, and then go back and get their degree. They're getting the opportunity to do that. Whereas before, the only opportunity was you go to college, you do that, and you work through, and you try to get yourself to the NFL and get in the draft that way. There was really only one option. Now there's definitely more options, in the way that the NCAA and the college football playoff and where they're moving with that, because that what's going to happen is you're really starting now to going into the haves and the have-nots, and I think that they're trying to create another space there, which is totally fine with me. If you look at soccer across the world, there definitely is this. This has already been built into it, and if soccer can make it with as many professional leagues as there are out there across the world, there's no reason why that United States can have 2 professional football leagues, or 3 for that matter. The more the merrier, if you ask me. So those are my thoughts on that, on really kind of all that stuff, summing it all up, putting it all together. I think that all of this is a really good thing. I'm really excited. And this it gets me even more excited because we are moving toward that April 15th date. All right, guys, like always, I want to know what you think down in the comments section. Let me know what you think, and we'll continue the conversation on down there. All right, listen, I know that you're busy and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.